Welcome everyone. I'd just like to start the presentation by saying a big thank you to the BRE for inviting me here to speak today. I was quite humbled when David asked me to actually speak here. We are a little bit different to what a few of the training sort of solutions are out there at the moment. And I kind of hope that what I show today may answer a few of the issues that we had yesterday for those of you that were here, and some of the problems we are having bridging the skills gap of graduates entering the industry. So I am Dayle Zieleniewski. Don't worry, everybody pronounces my name wrong whenever they say it, even my first name, so not to worry about that. I used to be an architectural assistant. I am not an architect. I'll put my hand up now and say I never completed the course to become an architect. That was out of choice, not out of not being able to go on to the part 2 or anything like that, but I chose not to continue on down the architectural route. I've come from a bit of a wide background in a sense. I started at Space Group, then moved down to David Miller Architects. So for those of you that are into your SMEs, David Millers are an SME with BIM at the heart of everything that they do. I then moved on to Arup Associates, working on a number of large rail and infrastructure projects there. I was there for a couple of years working with the team there. And now I've returned to my first employer, Space Group, and I'm now the training manager at campus. So just a bit of a background. I haven't met most of you in the room at the moment, but for those of you looking who's the young guy at the front, I've had a bit of a whirlwind tour since the start of the BIM journey, and I've been very fortunate to be there at the beginning of it, at the very start of my career. This is BIM Campus. So BIM Campus is a room where we take on graduates that have not been taught anything about BIM during the university courses. It's an open discipline cohort, so we have architects, structural engineers, MEP, interiors, a computer coder, construction managers. Any construction background can enter the course. You just have to be a graduate at the moment to come onto the course. We've been running for the last 3 years. We've run 4 courses now. We've had a bit of a hiatus in the middle where we ran into some funding difficulties, but we're now up and running again, and the courses are going strong. But the objective of BIM Campus is to get graduates into practices with the skills they need to start working on projects from day one. The reason this came about was at Space Group, we were taking on year-out students. They were spending 6 months having to learn the skills, just the software skills in a sense, to actually be able to work in a BIM authoring platform, let alone actually produce stuff that is correct on projects that are requiring the processes of BIM level 2. You know, you can throw them into training, they've still got to learn the software. You can throw them into the process, and what they're producing, they're producing drawings, but nothing's named correctly, nothing's quite coordinated, everyone's still 2D drafting over the top of 3D models, and that just isn't what we wanted. So for a year-out student, to take 6 months to actually be able to contribute to a project, they're not learning anything that they need to. You know, they could be an architecture student. They've just spent 6 months trying to produce stuff and haven't really learned anything about architectural design before they go back to university. Or it's a much shorter period of learning architectural design. Some of the challenges, no knowledge, teaching or exposure to BIM during their university courses. That's the first issue. They've been told at best that BIM is really important and you should learn about it. Thanks a lot. I'm not going to say this is for every university, but this is for the vast majority of university courses out there. BIM will come into a lecture, and that will be it. That will be as much as you hear in the entire lecture. Second challenge is working with young professionals with no professional experience whatsoever, or very little. You know, we're taking graduates fresh out of university, just saying what is the GA plan, they've got no idea what that is. Refer to a spec. What's a spec? It's amazing that they don't learn this stuff at university still, as graduates. You don't learn what a spec is. I'm not expecting them to be able to write one, but you should know what one is. So during those 6 weeks, we will actually introduce them to professional terminology as well. So when they come into the office on that Monday morning, you don't have the teething problems of getting those guys onto a project. You know, we're trying to get them ready to go. The other issue that came up yesterday, which is a bit of a tie into this, is that they have little awareness of what the other people in the industry actually do. There's an architect, there's a structural engineer, there's an MEP. They know what they are, they know the titles, but they have no idea what they actually do on a project. Someone mentioned that most university courses don't actually have multidisciplinary courses, You know, it's an architecture course, it's a structure course, it's an MEP course, construction manager course, but there's no actual joint courses where everyone works together on a single project. So what we try to do with a multidisciplinary cohort, we introduce each other to what the others do. You first expose you to what a structural engineer does. You know, this is what we actually do. We do our calcs and we do all the drafting. Right, okay. On to the course. It's a 6-week course. It's full-time. It's Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. As I say, it's multidisciplinary. The last course that I had, we had architecture, interior, structures, building services, technicians, and a computer coder. So they were on the course. We have industry experts and guests come in and lecture throughout the course. Every week, we will typically have 1 to 2 guest lecturers, and I'll go into who they are. And the course is delivered as a project-based course. There's no point me teaching this in siloed sort of topics. We will start from a project with an EIR and go forwards from there. And I'll show you the typical projects that we work on as we go through. But it's free for graduates. I am not in a position to charge students that are already been hiked to the £45,000 course to then learn the stuff that they need to even to enter the industry. We at campus are not going to charge students, and we will never look to charge a student to enter our course. So that is where we are different from a lot of the things. 6-week course, just a quick summary: introduction to the construction industry, BIM standards, building design, project collaboration, multidisciplinary coordination, and then project delivery and documentation. They are the headlines of the course, but that is essentially the crux of the course and what we will be delivering throughout the 6 weeks. It's intense, you know. It used to be 12 weeks. It's too long. You can't have 3 months out trying to find a job as a student. You know, 6 weeks get you into an office, but it is every day something is structured and you've got a delivery at the end of the day. It's not just software though, it is process. So we will go through the BIM suite of documents. We will get them producing an EIR. We will get them producing a BEP. Like I say, we'll be teaching them general terminology, the design process of BIM digital construction. We will use a common data environment. I've put ish because we don't have a sponsor for the open and actual professional common data environment at the moment. So we kind of use an ad hoc on a server at the moment where we still have work in progress, shared, published, and archived just to get them into the process of going down that route. Data capture, model authoring, and everything along the way. I have to say thank you to our sponsors. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to do it. But you can see the sort of names that we have on the sponsoring the course, both software, solution-wise, as well as professional services as well. And the number of people that have contributed to the course. This is just the last course. So we are regional, and these are people that have come up to Newcastle, come up to work with us actually in our campus course area and give a presentation, be it for a half day, for a full day workshop. So there's a lot of people giving up their time to train these graduates. It's a need, and people understand that. So the first project that the students will get put into is a basic domestic house. They'll be given a PDF document that they have to duplicate. The objective is to make an identical output for that drawing. It's a typical workflow that you'll get in an SME. I have a house, I'd like to deliver it now. This project is essentially getting them used to the tools. So they will sit down. We're using Revit to actually deliver this, but they will sit and produce the drawings. They'll sit and produce the model, and this took them a day. This is the first project they've ever worked on to produce a model. You know, these students pick it up lightning fast. Produce a little render, produce a little house. So that was one day. Second project, design and model a project from the below. A client brief and EIR. It was a basic EIR. I wasn't going to give them a full-blown project EIR that most of you have seen, but it introduces them to what the employer is requiring data-wise. They had a room requirement list, and they had a list of assets that I needed information embedded in. It was team-based, so they now work together, and they had to present to one another at the end. It's amazing how many of the students, if they're from an architectural background, they're used to doing crits for the structures, interiors, and that sort of thing. Most of them had never actually stood up and presented their work to other people. It was a blind submission to a tutor. So we're getting them in front of each other and actually presenting their work. And some, again, this was a 3-day exercise, 2 days to model, design, and produce the model, and then the day to do the presentation work. So again, just getting them used to modeling and producing some of their outputs. The final project, where the vast majority of the course is spent, is actually a much more in-depth project. So they have to define their own project brief. They have to write an EIR, produce a BEP. They were on site where they laser scanned the site, hands-on. They had to create 3 different models, so an architectural, a structural, and a building services model. You know, they have to understand what other people are doing and what they're up against. No more creating 200 mil floor voids, and the services will make everything fit within that. You know, they actually work together to produce a proper building. Quantity takeoffs, COBie inputs and verification, and data validation at the end. So this isn't just design and modeling, they are actually understanding the data and the documentation that goes along with that. So the site that we used for Newcastle was underneath the Tyne Bridge. They were on site and they laser scanned. They went on, they did their data acquisition, and they were actually on site using the laser scanners, testing this stuff, understanding that having a 10 gig laser scan file is pretty chunky, and a lot of the computers can't handle that. So they learned how to manage the data and control what they were doing, rather than just going best resolution, best setting, best accuracy, and it taking them 45 minutes to do one scan. They learned the tools of the trade, and they understand now what building services team are doing. They then went on and produced their models from concept, so prefab construction and on-site construction. This is just a typical model of what one of the teams produced. Broke it down into different segments. So this was a student apartment that they chose to do in Newcastle. It's quite funny. Students will typically do student accommodation buildings in a city. It's the 3rd one I've seen now. Again, producing drawings, producing schedules, producing data, producing graphics, all out of the model. None of this has been photoshopped or tweaked at the end of the job. This is all straight out of the model, and their presentation skills are fantastic. Structural model. They produced a structural model. Details. They were producing details straight out of the model. No, we didn't install CAD on any of their PCs, so this was all out of Revit, getting them away from the 2D drawing element. A few graphics, schedules and data. They then did a quantity takeoff. So they worked with the Glodon team that came up, and they exported out their IFC files and took a quantity takeoff and then did a cost analysis. You'd be amazed how many of those disciplines had no idea what QS actually did. They know what they are, they thought they counted bricks and spent all day on the phone. It's what you do, you spend all day on the phone, but they do actually have a purpose. And it was interesting to get the team up there and understand it. Glodon have also actually commented and said that our graduates from the Newcastle course have produced the best set of IFC files that they've ever received from any of their professional teams as well, which is a compliment to the team and what they have done. I'm incredibly proud of what those guys did. That kind of speaks for itself. Coordination and clash detection. So we did Navis. They coordinated the 3 different disciplines, the architectural, the structural, and the MEP model. They were amazed how many issues they had, even though they were all working together as a team, trying to resolve these coordinations as they were going over the 3 weeks. They then went back, re-coordinated their models, realigned what they needed to do, and they were basically starting along the way of a proper BIM project, actually working and coordinating between them. Data validation, and again, a little cost analysis of the model. But as I say, these are real people, these are real teams, they are working together, and we had our lecturers up in Newcastle. Big thank you to Northumbria University for the last course. They gave us the space there, which is incredibly gracious of them. But they are there Monday to Friday. These guys are working hard to understand this stuff. And at the end of it, they present to the course supporters and the employers. The whole point of this is that these guys didn't have jobs. They didn't have the skills they needed to get jobs. So they stood up at the end of those 6 weeks and presented to their potential employers around the Northeast. I'm happy to say that every one of them now has a job within the first month of that course finishing, and that course finished the week before Christmas. So there's the 2-week break of Christmas, and by mid-January, every one of those people on that course had a job. Of the previous 3 courses that ran before that, all of them have gone into the construction sector, and some of them have now been incredibly lucky, and they've now been taken out to the Middle East to work on some huge high-spec projects out there as model managers after their few years of working on there, purely because their teams that they were walking into didn't have the skills whatsoever. However, there are challenges. It is one to few. You know, it's me there Monday to Friday working with these guys, trying to get them the skills that they need. There is limited funding out there. A lot of people mentioned yesterday that there's loads of money out there. You can train these people, there's skills gaps. I have tried through teeth and blood and bone to get funding from you guys, and everybody says it's a brilliant idea, I fully support it. Can you sponsor the course? Nah, sorry. Just can't do it. Right, okay, well you're saying two different mixed messages there, what's going on? It's a small uptake from some disciplines. MEP, quantity takeoff. They are very limited and far between. I think I've only ever had one building services engineer ask to be on the course. They were snapped up straight away. They just aren't interested. They don't want to be on it. We can only run a few courses a year. It's 6 weeks. We have sponsored this course through the professional side of BIM Campus, training with the professionals and graduates, and we've done this internally, sponsoring them off the back of that. And it's graduate only at the moment. We only take on graduate students. We are looking to take it both to younger cohort, school leavers, as well to more professional. But it's a different discipline. It's quite hard to ask a professional person, more senior person, to take 6 weeks out of their life to come on a course and learn the skills they need. But the future. So we are going web-based. We are going into the 21st century. We are starting to take teams into an online communications platform. So we don't have the issues that we've had in London, where we've had to cancel our course because I couldn't afford the £15,000 rent fee for a room for 6 weeks. So we're going to go online. We're going to take it onto the webs and try and get people working together for a 6-week course again. Personalized training modules. So we will deliver a course and make it as best we can for a multidisciplinary, but we will tailor it to each individual user, what your strengths, what your weaknesses. As you're going through the course, we will give you more modules where you are struggling and more training content if needed. Ongoing support into practice as well. We are going to be tying into our professional services as well. So as these guys complete their graduate course and they go into practice, they can continue to learn. Do not employ these people to be your BIM managers. Do not employ these people to write your EAR and BEPs for your firms. They understand them, they know where to go, but they are not ready to run a project EIR BEP. So that's my little clause there. Don't take them on for that. And we are looking to also give them some certification and accreditation at the end. There's a lot of the comments is, do I get a piece of paper that says I can do this? Depends how important that piece of paper is, but we are looking to go down the route as well. Thank you. I will ask if you've got any feedback or comments on the course where you think things can be improved. I would love to hear your comments, so please find me in the breakout sessions. I'd love to hear some feedback from you all. Thank you.